one assembly, the principal walked in and she was like, right, we need to have a chat. Girls, you need to stop coming in with no makeup because you look like shit. Okay, you can't have that in this industry. You need to start putting makeup on in the mornings. You need to come presentable. And I think that was the beginning of the decline of me professionally staying in that industry. Because I remember sitting there thinking, I'm going to sweat it off in like half an hour. So what's the point? After dropping out of drama school, with that being my only thing that I ever wanted to do, I was pretty lost with my direction. But makeup was always something that kind of ran in my family. And I had a lot of interest in the creativity side of it. So from then, I think I was 19, up until lockdown, I'd built up quite a successful, oh God, that's so hard. How do people do that? Makeup business, predominantly bridal, so did that on the weekends and was starting to get like a really regular client base. And I really loved the creativity of it. I loved meeting people, working with people, and having the ability to make people feel somewhat better than how they felt when they walked in. What I struggled with was being shown photos of Kim Kardashian every day and being told that that person wanted to look like that, and there wasn't really much in between. And I would sort of say, babes, I'm not a cosmetic surgeon. Like, there really is a limit to what I can do here with a brush and an eyeshadow palette. So I started to gradually fall out of love with the pressures that women in particular were facing, then bringing to the client space, and then me having to just sit there and listen to someone talk about how much they hate the way they look and how much they wish they looked like someone else. And that's kind of when it first dawned on me how bad this social media comparison, wanting to look like someone else problem was just like very prominent in that time. And I don't know about the age range in here, but for me especially, I think the generation that we grew up in, slim was beautiful, white was beautiful, anything outside of that was ugly. So society has a huge influence on why a lot of us, especially my age range, felt like that and prior to that. So I had a light bulb moment for me, and I'm going to expose myself with the light bulb moment. But it's definitely something that I remember thinking, enough is enough, like I can't do this anymore. So, first of all, I'm going to expose myself by saying that I posted a photo with "The Yacht Life Chose Me" as my caption back in 2017. I was on a hen do in Dubai with a very bougie friend who is no longer my friend anymore, but it was a fantastic hen do nonetheless. I actually think I put myself in debt to go on this hen do. I was that desperate to go. But I was the biggest girl there by about 4 UK dress sizes. The size you're looking at now is not the size that I was, because this photo was edited within an inch of its life before I posted it. Unfortunately, because I erase every single bit of evidence of the original photos, I don't have the original. But all I can do is show you where I edited every single part of my body. And I remember it so vividly because I put it through 3 apps before I clicked post on this photo. And I remember trying to, you see that silver bar at the top, trying to get that so it wasn't warped. I think I must have spent about 3 hours in total sending it to the girl group, like, what do you think of this? Before I clicked post on that photo. So I'm 25 in this photo. I posted it on Facebook, and 2017, 200 plus likes made it. Absolutely smashed it. I felt incredible. All of the comments underneath, there were about 100 comments. You look incredible. You've lost so much weight. You look amazing. Oh my gosh. And I felt the validation for like all of 5 minutes before I remembered that actually that wasn't me. I didn't look like that. And I remember instantly feeling this immense sadness that I felt the only way to get validation was to post an untruthful version of myself because of the images I saw on social media. I came back from that holiday, having also cut out carbohydrates 4 weeks prior, so wouldn't recommend. I came back and I was like, I've literally had enough. Like, I can't do this anymore because it consumed my every single thought. I came back, and I vowed to never edit a photo, never use a filter, and never go on a diet again. And those 3 things I have stuck to for Why would I expose my math skills like that? How many years is that? 7? 7 years? 7 years. And it has changed my life. And I think that's where Filter Drop was born. Filter Drop was a global campaign that started to, oh my gosh, that really throws me, just a little click. A Filter Drop was created to raise awareness for how dangerous filters are. And when I say filters, I'm not talking like a little black and white filter or putting a bit of grain on your photo. I'm talking about a face altering filter, which I felt like at the beginning of lockdown, they were at the height of social media. Everyone had the bold glamour filter. There was one called like baby face and things like that, so problematic. And I remember seeing no real skin. Everything was filtered. And I think during lockdown at the beginning, we were all on our phones a lot more. Obviously, like many people, I no longer had a job in lockdown because mine was face-to-face. So I was definitely consuming a lot more than I was previously, which probably was an unhealthy amount anyway. So Filter Drop started by me saying that online to my audience. And I only had about 2,000 followers at the time. It wasn't a big audience at all. And I eventually, after receiving so many messages and personal stories as to how little confidence people had because of these filters, I decided to raise awareness for it. I said if you felt brave enough or confident enough to upload a filter-free selfie, to use the hashtag, and we could kind of share that together. And I say brave enough, like, how brave can you be? Like, people do very brave things. How big a deal can it be? But I remember a woman messaging me saying that the thought of posting a filter-free selfie was scarier than childbirth. And when I read that, I thought, oh my God, this problem is huge. It's huge and it's big, and that is the complete reason, or a very strong reason, as to why we feel so low in our self-worth as a society. So the BBC picked up the campaign. That then took it global, which then after 6 months went on to change the ASA guidelines online, which is the Advertising Standards Authority Agency. So now you're no longer allowed to advertise makeup cosmetic products using a filter. The fact that that was ever once allowed is insane. I also don't for 1 second take full credit of that. I think the period, there were 7 weeks at the beginning of the campaign. A filter-free selfie was uploaded by somebody every single day consecutively for 7 weeks. And that is still the most proud moment of the whole campaign for me, because I think if that one person hadn't shared to their maybe even only 50 people, then that wouldn't have then gone on to encourage and influence them to do more. Got in Vogue, that was a big moment for me. This is just some of the shit I share on Instagram. I started sort of posting more reality through lockdown and just showing that, you know, whatever it is you see, I can dress up here, I can put makeup on, I can put heels on. The reality is I actually walked in a tracksuit and considered doing this in a tracksuit because I thought, well, I would actually be more comfortable. But it's, you know, you can do both. You can want to wear makeup and you can be confident without makeup. And I don't want to stand here in front of you today and tell you all of the things that are wrong with social media, because we don't know where social media is going, and I can guarantee it's probably not going anywhere. With the rise of AI, deep fakes, things like that, it's, I think, more beneficial for me to stand here before you today and give you my tips on how better to consume it in a healthier way, and hopefully that will then make you feel better about the way you view yourself. So I think I have like 3 tips on what I would say. Number 1, control how much you consume. I wish I had the like neuroscience statistics as to why you shouldn't pick up your phone in the morning, but just, I don't know, go find the statistics somewhere else. It's the worst idea ever. Every time I do it in the morning, my day is different to when I don't do it. If you're on that sort of, in that headspace of wanting to feel different about your body and you're struggling with comparison, just unfollow the accounts, curate your feed, fill it with people that uplift you and show reality. And then lastly, you can't compare. I can stand here before you today and show you those pictures, but there's still so many things about my life that I don't share on social media. So I'm a reality account, and everything I do is as realistic as I can allow myself to be in terms of protecting my privacy and it being safe for me. you'll never know the depth of reality on what you're consuming or what you're following. Even if you're following all of the most incredible, uplifting, healthy influencers and celebrities, you will never ever know the depth of the reality that they're going through. So comparing yourself to them is a complete waste of time. So I would, it's actually a mad skill, isn't it? I could do that. I kind of want to finish this by doing a little exercise and just hopefully giving you something to take away, a little thought piece as to why you should really try to focus more on who you are rather than the way you look, which I know is easier said than done. And hopefully with questions, we'll cover a couple of other things that I know people want to know. But I just want you to think about one person in your life that you love and the reason why you love them. So if you can't think of a human being, pick a dog, pick a cat, I don't care. They need to be a living creature, but think of one reason why you love that person. And when you've thought of that person, put your hand in the air. I'm not going to pick anyone out. So just one reason why you love them, their energy, their kindness, whatever it is, whatever it may be. Just for the visual, can you put your hand up just so everyone can see? And then just have a little look around and you can see that everyone's got their hand in the air, right? Oh, you just keep your arm up, sorry. And then I want you to think, the reason you chose why you love that person, does that have anything to do with how they look? Is it to do with their eye shape or their face shape or their body shape? If it is to do with that, put your hand down. Now look at how many hands are still up in the air. You can put your hands down now. And I think I've been doing that exercise since 2017 when I did my first confidence event. And that is literally to show you that if you can view the people you love in your life that way, and you put who they are as a person before the way they look, you can definitely do that for yourself. And social media is rife for convincing you otherwise. So I created a quote during the midst of Filter Drop, and I still carry it with me today. And it's kind of like, I guess, it's like my core belief, and that is that looking beautiful is an opinion, feeling beautiful is a choice. So hopefully you'll remember that and you can go forth with not comparing yourself on social media. Thank you.
So, I think that is too loud. So,
Stockman, does anyone have any questions for Sasha? Yeah? Or I can ask them from our online audience. And then maybe if anyone feels brave enough to ask a question, we can ask after this one. So I'll start with a question that's coming from our online audience, Sasha. And that is, I say I'm confident in my own opinion everywhere, and it's always been the feeling. I also have treatment and I have this cosmetic surgery. Do you think that someone can authentically believe what is okay? Sorry, I just took that question.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I do. I think we have a really bad habit of looking at things at complete extremes. And, you know, I could stand here before you today in a tracksuit with no makeup on, and I can guarantee that I would have produced the same talk and I would have said the same things. However, the reality is I'm having photos and videos done for my social media, so I felt like I wanted to present myself in a certain way to bring on more opportunities like this. And that in itself is a complete example of, like, it's totally fine to be okay with yourself without makeup, but it's also fine to love yourself with makeup and to feel like you might eventually want some Botox or you want cosmetic surgery. Like, your body, your choice, you do whatever you want. The only thing I would say is just be careful how much of that choice is influenced by what you're consuming and what you're taking in. You've seen it hands down what's happened with the Kardashians. I always just use them because they are the best example for it. Everybody did all the cosmetic surgery to look like Kim Kardashian. Well, then she's got the money to change it back when she decides she doesn't want it. So then what are we doing? We're all walking around with a BBL because we wanted to do it to look like Kim K. And now it's changed. The ideal's changed, and the ideal will always change. And no matter what you do, you'll never catch up with it. So I think always just make sure that that choice is yours. And I do believe that maybe let's just wait until we're past 25, because like the yacht life chose me, you know, we make mistakes.
We've got another question, and that is, what roles do parents play in dealing with the effects of social media?
Oh gosh, don't have kids? No, I'm joking. I actually think that what happens within the four walls of a family home is more important than what that child consumes on social media, which I get is such a difficult thing to do. I grew up in the time of Special K diet, Slim Fast. Everybody I knew was on a diet. It was just normal. And I do wonder how differently I would have viewed myself and my body image had that not been the case. So I think if you do have children, make sure your kids never hear you badmouth yourself, never hear you badmouth your image, or if you're going to do that, give that genuine reason as to why you're saying that. Kids listen to everything. And when in the midst of the campaign, I had a school teacher contact me to say that a 6-year-old girl had come into school with mascara on, no, lip gloss on, and the teacher kind of approached her about it, and she said, I can't not wear makeup because my mummy doesn't go without makeup. She's like 6 years old. So within your four walls is the most important thing you can do. And I think when you have that communication with your child, I don't have a child, so I can't really sit here and tell you how to parent, but I just think the communication and the open honesty throughout how you talk about yourself, what they're consuming, somewhere met in the middle would be the sweet spot. But I guess perfection doesn't exist, so everyone's just got to do their best, really.
Does anyone have any questions for Sasha?
Hello. Hi. Yeah. Well, this isn't the first thing that I've wanted to do it for ages, and this is the first thing that I've done in this sort of setting. Teenagers actually scare me, if I'm being quite honest. They are like, and I don't know, the Gen Z generation, I actually think they're better than my generation, and I think we do need to give them more credit. They are very like real vibes, like showing the unpolished, which I do love. And they also feel like a really powerful generation, like strong-minded, which is probably why they scare me a bit. But like I said, within the four walls, I actually would prefer to speak to the parents of the children. You know what I mean? Because that's where I think the most beneficial things can happen in terms of self-image, how these kids are growing up viewing themselves. That's what I would like to do. But I would love to do it, yeah. I'd have to stop swearing, though. Yeah, it's true.
Any other questions?
Hi.
Hi, thanks. Really interesting talk.
Oh, thanks.
I just wondered, given that you sort of put your reality online, how do you protect yourself against the Jing there? Is that ever difficult?
Yeah, really hard. I think I'm just honest about that. So I will say I give so much and I'm honest for a reason and I give a reality for a reason. But like anything, I have myself to protect in everything that I put out. The thing is with social media as well, and I do think about it often, but I think if I thought about it too much, I would retrain and do something else. When you put it out there, it's out there. So all I can do is be authentic and genuine in that moment. And if things change and if things happen or things are raised, I can own and address it from that point. Like, you know, I say exposing you, showing you that picture. I'm 32 now. Would I hell put myself in debt to go on a hen do in Dubai? Would I hell use that caption? And would I spend 3 hours editing a photo to put it up? But it's out there now, it's done. So I think I do what feels right in the moment, but I'm just careful with the line. Sometimes it's hard. But I think there's more beneficial things of me being that presence than not. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Hi.
Thanks so much, by the way, for the
Thank
chat.
you.
I'm a lecturer here at uni.
Oh,
I'm
lovely.
actually doing some research looking at people who work in social media influencers, content creators, and how that impacts their mental health and well-being. I might have to pick your brains a bit at the end of that.
Yeah, of course.
My question, because you know people who work in this area, do you see this trend, this change towards unfiltered, a bit more reality sharing continuing and being more common, or not? Are you kind of the unusual, person in doing that?
I do think there's been a huge shift, and There's still a lot more work to be done. But there's so many fine lines with it, right? Like, I remember when Filter Drop started, it felt like the word filter was everywhere, right? And I felt this pressure to, whenever I posted, it be related to a filter or related to my message or whatever. And I'm now in a position where actually Filter Drop, I encompass everything that Filter Drop is every day and every time I post. If I'm having a bad week and I don't want to post, then I won't post, and that is Filter Drop, you know? It's not just about the filters. So I struggle a little bit with, you know, these accounts that are constantly filter-free, here's my body relax, here's my body pose. Sometimes it's like even that is so curated, it's not reality. So to answer your question, yes, I think loads has changed and loads of beneficial things are happening. I just think so much more work needs to be done, and unfortunately that work needs to be done by the people at the top, which don't like doing that sort of work. So yeah. Oh, hello. Very nice. Yeah. So I have been so lucky that I haven't had any horrendous hate comments. And the ones that I did, when the BBC articles went viral and stuff, there was some crazy comments underneath, but I didn't even read them, and they're not personal. So far I have been really lucky. But the one thing that I vow I will never do is, if those hate comments start coming in thick and fast, I'm not replying to them, I'm not sharing them. And my reasoning for that is I don't have the time, and I wish I did more than anything, to reply to all the wonderful and beautiful comments that I get. So until I was in a position to do that, I wouldn't give them any of my energy. And also that is what they're sat behind the keyboard desperate for. So over your head. Says more about them than it does you. Hi.
I'm doing my dissertation
Yeah. 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 And that's why I say there's two strengths for like making that better. One is the parents, and that in itself is a problem. Like, not everybody has a loving, wonderful home where their parents are open communicators and stuff. Like, that just isn't a reality. And the other one is the corporate companies not allowing this content to be shown, not allowing those filters to exist. And unfortunately, those are the two main things that will help our kids, like the younger generation, to feeling more supported, cared for, looked out for when they're looking on their own social media. It scares me that I don't have an answer beyond that, you know, because I'm giving you two things that are just completely out of my control. And also with the parent thing, like I said, it's such a specific thing. But when if you have younger people in your life, or you are a teacher or anything like that, the responsibility that, you know, you must feel to share that like kind of viewpoint to these kids is like, must be huge. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have an answer. Yeah. Mhm.
Like, I take so many, and I don't often like show my body in my pictures because like partly because of things like that. So, what would you say about that sort of thing?
First of all, thank you for sharing that with me, because that must have been really difficult for you to say that in front of a whole room of people. So thank you. You don't have to post photos of anything. You can do whatever makes you feel comfortable. If taking a photo of yourself but getting the nicer light, and there are nice lights and not nice lights. If you have a light like this above your head, it's going to add shadows to your face and it's going to make your face look a different shape to what it is. If you have natural light facing you, it's going to show a really realistic representation of how your face looks. There's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with you doing that for your photos. The only thing that I would sort of say is, if you're spending sort of 3 hours like I used to on a photo to post it, there is so much more to life than doing that. And the reality of the 200 people that liked that heavily edited photo, they just like it and crack on with their day. So why have I wasted 3 hours of my day for instant validation? And that isn't what validation is. Like that, it goes so fast. So don't beat yourself up for wanting, the nice light or the better angle. Adam stood this side because this is my favourite side. But like I said, I'd be here makeup free and I'd do the same chat. And if I didn't get any content from it, I didn't get any content from it. Like, I'll just crack on with my day and, find the beauty in more important things. But thank you for sharing that with me. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, it consumed me. And that's why when I came back from that holiday, after pretty much starving myself and the amount of time that holiday took over my brain just because I wanted to look like the other girls on the trip and be seen on this trip and, oh my God, a hen do in Dubai and all of this really unimportant shit, I couldn't live my life like that. I was like, that can't continue. And that's why I say it was my light bulb moment, because it consumed my every thought. Everything I did was consumed by how I looked, if I'd be the bigger person there, if I would look this certain way, what the photos would be. And I didn't want to live my life like that anymore. So, hello.
I just want to know where your shirt's from.
Oh, sorry, babes. It's all of my clothes are really old because I hate shopping. It's from Monkey.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I really like
Thanks. Hi.
I'm interested to know whether anything negative came back from Selfie Drop. Did you get any negative attention or negative comments, people against it?
Yeah, from local people who also did makeup artistry and were editing their photos to promote their makeup clients. So yeah, you're always going to get negative stuff with anything. And I remember a couple of radio interviews, people would say, in fact, nearly every radio interview were like, so what's the difference between a filter and makeup? There's a big difference. And the difference is Botox, fillers, makeup, no makeup. That's the reality, right? When you're in front of me, you see that. A face distorting filter is not reality. There's nothing realistic about it. So there is a big difference. So yeah, I got negativity, but I don't think negativity can get to you when you so genuinely believe something. And that is how I felt with Filter Drop. And I think that's why I was so adamant of telling you the background as to where it all started for me, rather than just, I didn't wake up one day and start a campaign. I literally woke up one day and started chatting about filters. And then, all of that work prior supported that. So yeah. Hello.
When you're talking about the ASA ad guidelines,
Yeah.
do you think that that's got enough teeth to really catch out people?
No.
No.
No, it's done loads, it's changed loads, but the TikTok filters are so slight and so clever. I started Filter Drop. I don't think TikTok had even really started. It was more on Instagram. But no, that's why I say it's got to come from the top, because they're still the ASA guidelines are there, but they can only actually punish creators if someone sent that in. So that in itself answers there's not enough. Yeah, it's mad. Hello.
Hello. I don't know if this is a question that you can necessarily answer, but what is happening like at the top? Why are they still like capitalising so much on insecurities?
Because that's where the money is. The longer we stay on the apps, the longer we consume the ads, the longer we look beautiful, the longer we look like Kardashians within 5 seconds, that's what unfortunately is going to keep us on the apps. So I think that that's probably why they still exist. That's just my guess anyway, but I don't know. It's probably quite accurate actually.
So, how do you see the future of social media, especially with the introduction of AI images? How do you see the future when it comes to what people choose to post, edit, and filter, etc.?
It is scary. I think the other day I found an influencer with over 256,000 followers. She's earning 10 grand a month, but she's AI. So the team behind that account is human beings, made an AI influencer. She's bagging 10 grand a month. That to me is petrifying. So I think I'm just actually quite scared, to be honest. So that's that. I'm going to come to UE and retrain, actually. It's lovely uni.
Another from online. Do you think that some people cannot feel in real life because they are addicted to social media?
Yeah, to some extent. I think I use my marriage, which is weird in itself, as a kind of example. But I think if somebody in a relationship was following my documentation of my wedding, there's no doubt that they wouldn't be thinking that I was madly in love with my husband and he was madly in love with me and we had this picture perfect relationship. Nobody in that moment could have predicted that our marriage would break down 8 months later. So it's really hard to, if you're comparing, feel what your reality is because you're comparing to somebody else's never their reality.
Following on from that question, so how do you maintain a healthy relationship with social media and not get addicted?
I think like I said earlier, there's no perfect for anything, right? So sometimes I still even get it wrong. Sometimes I pick my phone up in the morning and torture myself with scrolling when I have such a, array of healthier habits that I could be doing. Sometimes it does still happen. I'm just really mindful of it. I check in with myself like often, is this person making me feel good about myself? Are they providing me with something? Do I just love looking at their pictures? I just have a really, in the same way that I said, have that open, honest dialogue with your children and, the younger people in your life. I do that to myself. And I try my best to keep that in check, but I don't always get it right.
I've got a question here asking what's the one beauty essential you couldn't live without?
Deodorant? I feel like that was a sensible answer. Maybe my Rimmel Cappuccino lip line. I've been using it since I was 16. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just have one. Where do you see Filter Drop going from here? Like, what's your next move? Do you feel like you've done enough with that campaign and you kind of closed it off now, or do you feel like you've got more work to do in that space? And how would you go about your next move?
When I first started it, I had 3 objectives. One was to spread awareness for filters. We did that, obviously not as wide as we wanted to because, that's all numbers. One was to change the ASA guidelines and one was to have the filters removed off the apps. Filters being removed off the apps, I can't ever see that happening. Spreading everything I encompass about Filter Drop is what I want to do and what I want to continue to do. So the wider scale that audience can be, whether it's in real life, on social media, in the mainstream media, spreading that is where I want to go. I feel like that's a lovely question to finish on. Oh, have you got more?
I've got, well,
Oh,
we can finish on that one if you want to wrap it up.
I know, I'm fine. I don't want to bore everyone.
I don't think that would be possible. So, last question then, unless anyone wants to sneak a cheeky one in at the end. Someone saying from the online live stream, of course that this affects everyone, but admittedly mainly women and non-binary people. what's your thoughts on what men can do to change their behaviour to help get rid of the unrealistic beauty standards put on women?
Oh my gosh, such a loaded question. Do you know what? It comes back to that same thing. It's the open, honest communication. Like, I think having a man existing in this world is obviously very different to a woman existing in this world. And I say that straight man, straight woman, because outside of that, there's even more problematic things for them to deal with. But being open to learning, to sitting down, to listening, to understanding, and having an open heart in learning how difficult it is for women to have those standards. That's not to say that men don't have those standards too. They do have, you know, we've got like problematic things around dad bod and things like that. They do have their fair share, just nowhere near as much. So just being open to listening and learning, I'd say.
Any last questions?
Yeah, I know, Jesus. Yeah.
Would you prefer that one?
Yeah, I do. I do, and I think I would. And that's why most days I say weird shit like I want to train to be a neuroscientist instead. Because I said that at the beginning of the talk, like I don't really know what my job is. All I know is that I help people by talking about this stuff so openly and honestly, and I do care about that. But I often feel like I'm fighting against like a tsunami of issues. But if I thought too deeply in that, I don't think I'd get out of bed in the morning. So I just do my little bit and hope that that helps in whatever way it can.
We do offer many courses.
Thank you. What have I got to do to be? I'm not joking.
Who are your biggest role models? Like, who do you look up to and who aspire to be kind of like in the self-love kind of thing there?
All of the women in my life, like physically in my life. It used to be people, like I used to say things like, oh, Ashley Graham, or, you know, this person, that person. And I think as I've gone through this journey myself, I've realised I don't know those people. I only see what they present. And even if I love everything they present, I still don't know how realistic that is. Even working in this industry, I've been at dinners with people and I've followed them, knowing what they present, and then spent time with them, knowing who they are. And I'm thinking, well, that's not the same. So I think it's more the women in my life, the women that I've chosen to have in my life, and the woman that I want to be, continue to grow into be. Yeah.
Okay, one last question.
Sorry. What is that? Generation above me. Okay. Yeah. Do you want my time era? Probably the 80s. Did they have social media in the 80s, did you? No. Trace? Yeah, probably the 80s. I would 100%, I would love to experience life like, if I have 5 days without social media, I feel better for it. So yeah, I definitely would. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.